Hello there and welcome to Field and Foley. My name is Ben and my guest today is Scott Manke, an audio post-production professional specializing in sound effects. With over a decade of experience in sound editing, sound design, and video and audio production, Scott's work spans award-winning animated shows, features, and audio dramas for studios like Adult Swim, Cartoon Network, HBO Max, and Disney. He's also collaborated with artists such as Halsey and Fall Out Boy, and most recently worked on Adult Swim's The Elephant, a 3-act narrative experiment in which each creator or pair of creators develops a segment independently without seeing what the others are making. So thank you for being on the show, Scott, and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So the first thing I'd like to ask you, because I was aware of you because I saw this little short, a pilot, which was called Jesus 2, and it was wild, like really wild and out there, and I really enjoyed it. I couldn't find it online anymore, so I'm guessing they hopefully are in contact with someone and it's gonna be a series. I really hope so, because I really enjoyed it. So the first thing I want to ask you is, how did you come to be on that project?
I first came to be on that project. A friend of mine was kind of like a producer on it. He's a video editor, and he helps like creators turn an idea into like an animated thing.
Nice.
So he knows animators and studios and stuff like that. And so he brought me on. I've done work with him a lot in the past. It's Jesse Moynihan's project. I think he was on Adventure Time, in the early days of Adventure Time. And I really liked the way that it looks, which has been really nice to work on.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy how violent some parts of it are, and like really like crude. But at the same time, the animation and the coloring is really pretty.
Yeah.
Which I really like about it. And it's so absurd.
Yeah.
It was a fun one to work on, for sure. But yeah, that's how I got on it and everything. And
yeah, and any, like, during production, anything out of the ordinary sound-wise, anything you struggled with, or anything where you were like, oh, that's amazing, I can use, I don't know, whatever.
I remember there was a scene where after one of the heroes of the show, when she turned into like the giant robot.
Yes.
That was like a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
And was it was like sucking the cum into the vacuum cleaner thing, right? Of the giant robot. And they decided during the mix that they wanted something to be like a really heavy rhythmic kind of sucking sound.
Mm-hmm.
And so when something like that is like a heavy sound like that is also like a big sucking sound, it's kind of hard to make one that like will really cut through the mix that's already there, and also doesn't sound just like a loop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so that one, it took some finessing of like with fades and different sounds that I had to layer. I think one of them I used an actual bellows.
Oh, nice.
Like that you use in a fireplace.
Yeah, I have one too. I needed it for a project as well. It's like, it's this perfect sound, and you can manually adjust how you want to sound.
Yeah. And there was some like weird mouth sounding thing I think I put on that part too. I think that was kind of hard, specifically. Also because when it's during the mix, it's like they're waiting.
Yeah.
They're like actively waiting for it. And so there's kind of like a rush element to it. But when it all comes together, those ones do feel pretty good.
Yeah.
When it's like a time crunch and you kind of have to like think on your feet and find the right sounds in the library and just do all like the edits and stuff.
Yeah.
And also that feeling between sending it off and waiting to hear back.
Mm-hmm.
After having like put in a ton of effort really fast to like to get it in. You're just like hoping like, oh God, please like it.
Oh, yes. I know that feeling. Yeah.
But yeah, that was I think that was a tough one on a technical level. I think there was a part where what was it? I say it's hard to choose between the music parts where he's flying on the thing and the part where like the post goes through the person's head.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like controlling the robot with like the post going through her body or whatever. That was hard to make like all the elements kind of cut with the water and like the wet sounds and like the metal
Yeah,
because they
there's a lot going
sound
on.
they're yeah, there's a lot going on and like the frequency ranges are kind of similar of a lot of those sounds. So that was tough. And then the aura around Jesus too, when he's like flying, it has like a musical element.
Yeah.
So whenever something is musical, that the musical stuff occupies such a wide range of frequencies that it makes the sound selection a lot harder to because the build has to be things that will cut and sound good.
Yeah.
Things that like you could hear clearly like through the music. So that was a little bit technically difficult. But ultimately I was really happy with how that whole thing came out with like the sound. They gave me a lot of leeway,
That's
which
good,
I
yeah.
always really appreciate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's also what drew me to it because I was watching it and it was like we just mentioned, like there's so much going on, there's so much wildness, but it sounded all very, very, very nice and crisp and everything balanced and it was like, oh man, that sounds amazing. I need to find out who did this and contact them. And I'm happy you instantly said, oh yeah, sure, let's talk. And then just afterwards I found out like, oh man, he's worked on many things that I really enjoy. That makes sense now. So yeah, going a bit or way back, maybe just for listeners that don't know you or also in general, I'd like to know, how did you come first to sound in general? Why did you choose sound as your profession?
Well, I'm originally a musician.
Mm.
I went to school for music and I got a music degree initially with the intention of maybe going into like recording engineering. But then I kind of wasn't a huge fan of recording engineering. And so I was focusing on the performing a lot. And then the drummer of a band that I was in, his dad owns a studio rather, named Hacienda Post in Burbank. And one day he said that the studio was looking for like interns and post-production assistants. So I was lucky enough to be able to literally just call the guy who owned the studio and ask him, which a lot of people don't really have that type of opportunity. And he gave me a chance. He said that they like hiring musicians there because musicians kind of understand sound already to a certain degree, like what sounds good, like sound combos and sound effects do kind of have a musical element to them a lot of the time in terms of like the rhythm and timbre. And they brought me in and I used to sweep the sidewalk outside of the studio. It was like a public sidewalk too. So it's just like dirty instantly and sweep the parking lot. And then they would let me sit and watch the editors and they would like give me tasks to do.
Nice.
And so I learned a lot by watching other people work. And then they would have me do like background ambiances or sync up the Foley, like the real grunt work editing, like syncing up footsteps and like just doing that. And also dialogue editing I started with, and I kind of just kept doing it. I kind of almost like fell into it. I really, when I was starting out, would see like the not so much fun technical parts of editing, right? And things I would have to do, like the syncing the Foley and all that stuff. But then I would see like the sequences of like really cool sci-fi stuff or like magic and the real creative dynamic parts of sound effects editing. And I would just see these other editors do it and then just think about how cool that was. And that kind of helped me move into it, was the watching other people do the cool parts and wanting to also do that.
Yeah.
Like that aspect of it. The real creative editing. And so I kind of got into it by just watching it happen, watching other people do it. And I hadn't really always paid a ton of attention to the sound effects so much when I was younger watching stuff, because it's one of those things where when it's done really well, you don't really notice it.
Yeah.
It kind of, there's something psychological about really good sound effects editing where you kind of just feel like that's the way that it just is when you're watching a movie or a TV show. And that's just something I kind of aspired to once I started doing it, you know. But yeah, that's kind of how I got into it.
No, that's funny because I'm the same, and now of course when I work in sound, since then I've been like whenever I watch something, I really notice the sound, and I notice when something is missing or when something is wrong. And what I really also like is when you're starting to do it and you realize, okay, I need to be as like good as possible to make sounds that just fit and feel right, but I can also then use like something totally out of the ordinary to throw the audience a curveball and like use that kind of psychological effect of like easing them into the series, and then after a while doing something that's totally weird, and then it stands out and becomes like a hero sound, right? And yeah, so, and that's specifically also like fun with like animation. So yeah, my next question is then, how did you then end up in animation specifically? Was it something you consciously chose, or was it just like, oh, that's the thing, the gigs that came?
It was kind of just the gigs that came. The studio that I was working at, the biggest client was Cartoon Network. So that's just mainly what I worked on. I did a couple Disney shows and Nickelodeon, but primarily it ended up being cartoons. And the thing that I really like about the animation compared to live action with sound editing is how much leeway there is with a lot of the sound effects, and there's more room for creativity in that. If you see a car driving by in an animated thing, it's just a car, right? Or it's like a van.
Yeah.
And it could just be a van, and you could make the van sound how you want the van to sound. But if it's live action and it's like a Chrysler or a Honda, it has to sound like a Chrysler or a Honda.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with like any object, really. It's a little bit more literal.
Yeah.
Whereas animation is not quite as literal. But that being said, I will say, I don't know if you saw the demo reel on my LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
There's a sequence on there that's live action that's just Foley, and that entire sequence was just cut from my sound effects library. There was like no audio on the video initially, and it was just a real rush to get that done at like the last second. And that is like the thing that I'm probably most proud of editing wise as an editor.
Yeah.
Like I prefer the animation and stuff, but on like a technical level, like that one sequence was like, it's kind of like my pride and joy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good. Like I saw it and I was like surprised that suddenly there was a break from the cartoonies. But it sounded really good. And I guess it was an intro for a music video, right? Because then the music started.
It was like a live concert
I see.
type video.
Nice.
It was from during COVID. There was a brief period of time where like live music recordings, like video recordings, became kind of popular.
Yeah.
And so that was this guy named Black Bear, live at the live at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel. And so what they did is they just like recorded this whole thing as if it was like a live concert at different locations within the hotel area.
Yeah.
And that Yeah, I mean that was like a cool part, I guess, of the lockdown was that became a little thing briefly, like the live concert thing. But yeah, that was a pseudo music video, I guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check it out because it looked really interesting. Yeah. Yeah, and going back to that topic then, because that's also something I noted down, that the animation that gives you like the freedom to that live action doesn't do it, but it demands a lot because just like you said, there's nothing, right? You get something like an animation and it's totally silent. In movies you sometimes have or oftentimes have production sound, have location sound, but in animation you have to do like everything yourself. But you also have the chance to do something wild and wacky. So
Yeah.
my question is, yeah, what is your favorite kind of like wacky sounds that work perfectly well in animation but doesn't work like in live action?
I That's a good question. I I like kind of synthy type sounds
Mm-hmm.
that were made with like a synthesizer. I have a lot in my library of stuff like that. It just you can punch up so much stuff with the synth. Like a quick rise, yeah, a quick rising sound
Yeah.
or like just a boo like drop.
Yes.
Also it makes like really good sweeteners for sound effects. So if you have like a build out of something like really big and it just seems like there's something missing, you can just sweeten it with like a synth type sound that's like kind of has a rhythmic aspect to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One of the guys at the studio when he was showing me how to edit, what he liked to do is if there was like a laser beam or anything like a ray or any kind of thing like that on screen, like to cut for it, he would always just put like a layer in there of like a really warbly sounding like ray beam thing. And that just like it really makes it all come together. You know, a good synth.
Yeah.
Um, I have one sound effect though, an individual sound effect that I put on a lot of stuff
Oh, okay. It's like your hidden
from.
Easter egg.
Well, it's like I don't know what the acronym stands for, but it's from MADS. It's like a MADS library. It's a MADS, and it's just called teleport medium. And it's
Okay.
like a really quick sound. It's like a foo. The frequency range that it occupies, it'll like still cut through, but also has like a really nice low end punchy sound on it. And it just fits on like laser beams, electrical outage, like even like a like magic power blast. You could throw it on there, and it's just it just fills it out. It's
Yeah.
like a really good fill out sound
Nice.
to make it sound like bigger and everything.
Yeah, I really like the metallic tinny sounds, like when someone is knocking on something, and you had that in your reel as well. What made me smile was like this character that had this shoulder pads out of metal, and someone was walking over and just knocking on it, and you have this ding 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 sound.
Oh yeah,
And I liked it when it
yeah, yeah.
really is like a big metal thing, and then it sounds very flimsy. This
Mhm.
kind of dissonance is always something that I really like and sets the tone for the show. Yeah, and then working on TV shows. Another question I had in my mind was, what is something that you didn't expect coming into sound production for TV shows? Something that people might not like know.
I guess maybe I don't know if everyone. I'm sure everyone in audio experiences this, but I always cut everything so that you can watch the episode without music
Hmm.
of whatever it is. So I learned that lesson kind of early on because I cut something poorly, and the owner of the studio sat me down and he explained to me how garbage that thing that I cut was. And he was very blunt and he's like, "We don't do that here," kind of thing.
Nice.
And even though it got passed by
Mm-hmm.
the clients were fine with it. And he said it doesn't matter if the clients pass it, it can still be bad.
Mm-hmm.
And he said it needs to be like to a higher standard, and that the specific lesson was that when you're cutting something, it should be playable without the music. You should be able to just sit there and watch it and not even notice that like the music is not in.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do that and put all the work in, right? And you might like fall in love with how a bunch of stuff sounds, and the clients will say that they like it and everything. But then when it goes into the mix, like half of it is just muted.
Mm-hmm.
And like they might decide that when everything's combined, they just don't like it as much, or they just prefer the music.
Mm-hmm.
But like a lot of sound design and sound effects editing is never heard by anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good, but that's a very good point that people might not be aware of. And I've also just learned this like a few years into my career, but speaking with people, it was like, hey, yeah, I made this, like I made 100 sounds and like 20 made it into the scene. So yeah, especially also as the project goes along and maybe a scene gets longer or a music piece gets more intense, then you need to like remove stuff. Otherwise, like, yeah, the music doesn't come through. So yeah, that's something I learned as well. But it's super interesting to hear that a lot of work just goes down the toilet basically. But I like the way of the studio head saying like, hey, no, we have this standard. We make just this one good thing, and then whatever we need to edit out doesn't matter because everything else is gonna be fine. Because otherwise you could run into trouble, right? You have this scene where it's like, oh no, we don't want the music here, and then you have this poorly sound edited piece there that really comes through then. So yeah,
you want them to be able to just like, if they're on the mix stage, to be able to just like, if they tell the mixer that they want to favor the sound effects, all they have to do is just turn the fader up.
Yeah.
And then the music went down, and then it should sound like perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Because you don't want people to have to like make edits on the mix stage, you know.
Yeah. I wish there was more behind the scenes without music, just to get people to like experience the stuff that gets cut out, and also just to get them to like just really concentrate on the sound. That would be really interesting. But I'm guessing it's a dream. But
I did have I've over the years have had times where they'll have me like make changes to my edit, and then I'll just like save a copy of like my version, because I'll be like, I like mine more. I'm just gonna save it for like, I don't know, archiving purposes or whatever. But I'm just like, I still never go back and like listen to it.
Maybe in 20 years you do like a featurette of all the amazing things you did.
That'd be like a behind the scenes thing, is like me bitterly saving a copy of something. Like, I disagree. I'm gonna keep a copy of my version.
Yeah. That's fun. Yeah. And as you worked like in different fields, like you did some work for podcasts, you did a lot of animation and music projects. Do you have any preference, or are you more like, hey, I just like working with sound, it doesn't matter really what kind of project it is? Or is there something where it's like, oh man, animation is just so fun, music is just so fun? Or
I think I prefer animation, but specifically animation that's not for very young audiences. So I've worked on a couple early on in my career. I worked on some shows for like preschool, kindergarten age group, and that can be really rough to work on in animation. The characters will have like really high pitched voices, or the color scheme of the animation will be kind of bright, and that can get kind of rough to work on. But the older age animation, like adult animation that sound like Adult Swim and stuff, that I think is the most preferable.
I agree.
Yeah, because it's kind of funny too. But I've worked on some one-offs that weren't necessarily animation that I really enjoy. So one of the things that I do sometimes is I build out the sound effects that accompany visual effects for concerts.
That's nice. Yeah.
Cool. And those can be pretty abstract sometimes, and sometimes just really cool. So the last one that I did was for Halsey's Back to Badlands tour that she's on right now.
Yeah.
And some of those had like a Blade Runner theme.
Nice.
thing going on. And so that was stuff like that is really cool. If I could just do those all the time, then that would be, I think maybe the most preferable, but it's hard to say because I'm so used to doing animation exclusively. So I don't know if in the long term that would be as preferable as just doing the animation. But I do like that everyone is different. Like the one-off. So if you don't like something, it's going to be like a short-term thing.
Yeah.
But,
it's going to end, yeah.
But like, yeah, and like episodic animation, you could be working on a show that you really don't like to work on for years. But you can also be on a show that you really like for years. So it's like it could go either way.
Yeah.
I was on a show that I liked working on for a really long time that I was really sad to see go.
Which one?
Craig of the Creek.
Oh yeah, I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it yet. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one to work on because every episode was different, which makes a show, I feel like, fun.
Yeah.
Or not necessarily like fun per se, but like a good show to work on. It's just not repetitive. So every episode is going to be different types of sounds that you're building out, which I really do. I like having it be mixed up like that. Yeah. And it's different challenges every time. So you can like really grow as an editor if every episode is a little bit different.
And yeah, we've spoken before about the quality control, and basically as when sound is done right, it's basically invisible because people don't notice it. But we as sound people notice sound way more. So maybe a question that would also be interesting is, what are some mistakes that you see or hear repeated most often that good quality control could like get rid of? That's especially hopefully helpful for like young people coming into the arts to learn what to like absolutely avoid and what's easy to avoid.
I've been watching stuff sometimes where I'll hear that someone didn't put a fade at the end of a sound.
Oh yes, yeah, me too.
It happens so fast. That I don't know. It's like the pop sound at the end of it. I notice that every time. There's like specific sounds that are in a lot of stuff too.
Yeah.
So I would say like avoid the real classic hit sounds, like you have like the Wilhelm scream.
Yeah, of course.
For example, I would say like don't ever put that in anything. There's a wooden door opening sound that I hear in like.
I think I know which one you mean.
I hear in so much stuff, it takes me out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know it's called different things in different libraries, but it's like one specific door sound.
Maybe we can put it in the episode so people have it in their ears, and then next time they watch the show, they're like, "Oh, damn, it's that door sound."
Damn.
Now I can't unhear it.
Yeah. There's a refrigerator door opening sound too that is in the first episode of the Dahmer show that came out on Netflix like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
That really famous miniseries. In the first episode, when he goes into his refrigerator to grab out the drinks for him and the guy.
Yeah.
It's a sound that I have in my library and I've heard before. And like, I think less than 5 minutes later, he goes back and opens up the refrigerator door again. But the editor didn't change the sound.
Oh, yeah.
And so like the bottle rattling.
A temp sound, and then he forgot it, right? Hopefully.
Yeah. The bottle... The giveaway was like the bottle rattling that's attached to the fridge door opening has a bottle rattle in it.
Yeah.
And that would be like my main advice is that if you're editing something, if you're going to reuse a sound in the same episode or whatever, you should change it. Like edit the sound to, like in that case, it was the bottle rattle. You should just like make a cut in there somewhere and just shift things around and like add another bottle sound on top.
Yeah.
To make it not sound identical. That would be like my main thing, because that makes it sound you shouldn't hear the edit. You shouldn't hear that sound was like added to something.
Yeah. That's a
Kinda
good point. That's something that initially drew me to recording, because I was like, I had this really great sound in my library, and I was like, yeah, but I'm making a game, so I need like 5 variations. And then I tried like
Mhm.
cutting it up, editing it and like spent a lot of time making like variations. And I was like, ugh, this is really tedious. And then I started like getting into recording, and I was like, oh man, I can make like many sounds that are similar, but
Yeah.
the same. And like, especially as I said, like especially in video games, you sometimes have a sound that you might hear for like 1,000 times, where in a movie you might hear a specific door maybe 3 times or 4 times or 10 times. So not having that variation is really really horrible, because then you get this kind of repetition. And even if the people watching don't notice it just as we do, like subconsciously they're gonna be like, the show wasn't that great, because if everything sounds kind of samey, then your brain like suspends the disbelief, right? And it's like, this is all
Yeah.
unreal.
Yeah, it's like a thing you can't quite always put your finger on it.
Yeah, it's just a
But if you
subconscious
can't
thing.
quite put your finger on it, I feel like a lot of times it's the audio.
Yeah, I agree. Oh
I'll
man.
notice that in like short form too, on like Instagram or whatever. Like people edit their reels and put cuts in them,
Mm-hmm.
and though a lot of times those never have fades on them, and that all like, I don't know, it just diminishes the quality
Yeah.
if the audio isn't also like good.
Yeah, so take care of your fates, people. Really
Yeah.
important. It's good advice, man. I never had it on the show, but it's right. Yeah, that's something that I also like. I sometimes like it slips through, and when I listen to a project, I was like, oh shit, I forgot a fade there. That's something that can really be jarring, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, even if it's just like a little tiny,
Yeah.
little itty bitty frame, like a
Yeah.
couple subframes,
Absolutely.
you can't hear the fade out. It just doesn't make the pop sound.
Yeah, and maybe one other question I have, because speaking about like, I was just thinking back on projects where I didn't do that well. How do you like reflect on your own work? Do you sometimes like go back and rewatch stuff to see like, hey, maybe I missed something there, I can learn from something, or are you like, okay, I'm done with this, I'm never gonna hear that again. It's like I've had enough hours of this sounds.
I sometimes if I'm like doing research, if it's like a type of sequence or sound that I've cut before, but I'm drawing a blank,
Mm-hmm.
I'll go back to like an old episode that I remember that I've cut that type of thing on.
Nice.
And I'll go back and watch, and there have been times, if I go back far enough, where I'm like, that does not sound as good as I thought it did when I made it. And I mean, that's like, that means that I've grown, I guess, when that happens.
For sure, yeah.
But yeah, it's the really old stuff. Sometimes I'm like, ugh. But I don't know. There's stuff that too that I go back and if I'm like trying to find old stuff specifically where I'm like, okay, that was like pretty cool. So like I guess it kind of depends. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Or?
No, absolutely, yeah. But that's a good point. Like when you start going back to old projects, I've never thought about that. I don't know why, but it's yeah. Thank you for the tip, man. That's good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let me give you a tip as well, because you mentioned the Wilhelm scream, right? And that's something that sometimes I'm guessing sound people are sick of it by now. I like telling it or showing it to people that have never heard about it, because then they come back weeks later about like, hey, I hear that sound now everywhere, and it's like, yeah, now you know our pain.
Yeah.
But I have a really good solution for that, because a while back ago, someone released the original recording of the Wilhelm scream, and there's a bunch of other screams in there. So now you can use an alternative Wilhelm scream, and that is
interesting,
fun to do. I'm happy to send it to you. It's like it's freely usable, even commercially. It's really really nice. And so you can use like another take of the Wilhelm scream to put in there, which is it's a cool little Easter egg. I already used it in a project. And,
nice.
Yeah.
I wonder if I've heard any of them before. I do have some that sound kind of similar to the same guy, but it's a different scream.
Yeah. The cool thing is you have everything on there. You have like the guy telling him like, oh no, you have to scream a bit more, like the alligator bit you now, right? So you have all the people standing around. You sometimes hear rustling, and then you hear him like, do it again, but more like this. And it's so cool to have that kind of really, really old recording of just the sound people trying to get that scream right.
A man getting bit by an alligator and he screams. Okay, quiet. Hey, quiet. Stood out towards me. Okay, right. Ow! The first one you did up here was much better. Ow! No, not an owl. A real scream of pain.
Ow! Which then becomes like the scream. So yeah, that's really fun. But it could be that you've heard the other ones before now too, because I'm guessing I'm not the only one that noticed that and was like, oh yes, finally, an alternative.
By the way, another thing on the going back to old projects, I learned a lot from going back and looking at old projects from colleagues.
Oh, nice.
Also,
yeah.
Because I've worked with people when I was coming up at Hacienda Post who were training me, and a couple of them I was still considered to be like far superior editors to myself. And at the time when I was learning, I would go and sometimes look at how their projects ended up when I would be like watching them like building it out, and then I wouldn't see the finish. So at work, if I had time, I'd pull up those episodes and I would go through and like just look at their edit.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I learned some really good techniques doing that I hadn't even thought to do. There's this guy, his name is Daisuke Sawa. It was an episode of, I think, Powerpuff Girls. They were playing volleyball, and he cut like these big cannon sounds on like they're like, it's a cartoon, so they're hitting like crazy hard, and they're like huge whooshes, but they're like, the hits are cutting so good in the big whoosh where you can like really hear it. And I went in and like I learned this like technique where you just go in and you remove a frame you remove at least one frame from the whoosh and like all the sound that's happening other than the hit. Then you fade it back in. So you have like you just have like a cut where basically you have a bunch of stuff being muted for like a split second.
Yeah.
And then that just makes the hit happen really hard. And I was like really early on. And so like if you're up and coming as an editor, that's really helpful to learn that way.
Yeah.
And I learned like techniques to make like it's really important when you're editing that when a new sound starts, you can like really hear it starting. And so you can just like put the cuts in the right places to make everything start and stop, and it just sound really crisp.
Yeah.
And it's just if you can do that as an like editor, like up and coming or whatever, to like not only look at like your old work, but also like the work of more established editors if you can, just to see.
That's absolutely a good idea, yeah. And the using the silence is also something I learned from someone else, and it really like opened my eyes, or my ears rather, to the possibilities of when I want to have a really big explosion, to mute everything before for a certain amount of time, so your ear adjusts, and then the explosion is so loud, even if it isn't. That's something that's like, oh man, that works. It's so it's like magic sometimes. It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have the scene two times, one without the silence, one with, and you really can't point to the silence. You really can't hear it, but you can hear like one version just is so impactful, and it's like that's a lot of fun. That's in general like the whole realm of the psychoacoustic stuff, where you're like, sometimes you have to move sounds to be out of sync kind of with the picture, to be in sync in your head, which is also something that it's so weird to me, right? That's something that also people probably don't know, that never worked on sound, right? Sometimes you have to deliberately make a sound early or late so it really feels right. Yeah.
We did that we had to do that on the elephant.
Okay. Yeah, tell me about it. Tell me about the elephant.
There's like there's like a crazy sequence in the elephant where, I guess I can say, because it's kind of like the synopsis that you can read, like the blurb on the show. It's like this being who is like dying and then reborn in like a different universe kind of thing, almost like a little multiverse. And there's like cuts happening where they're dying and then coming back, and then there's like parts where, because of how the cuts were happening, we had to put like the sounds out of sync so that it seemed to line up with the cut, but it wasn't lined up with the cut. No, that show's really cool. Or feature.
I'm absolutely want to see it. I hope I can get a chance here in Germany, but I'll keep my eye out. But that's also something I've noticed. That the first time I've noticed this technique being used like very extremely was in the first Dune movie. I don't know if you remember, but there was a scene where he's using like the voice. I don't know. Have you seen Dune, like the new version?
Yeah.
There's the thing where he's sitting at the table with his mother and he's using the voice for the first time, or not for the first time, but the scene is like this massive scene, and you see the lips move before the sound comes out. And it makes you like shiver. It makes you like so uncomfortable because it's the stark, commanding voice, and it's out of sync, so you can feel it's something wrong and not like human-like. And using that kind of delay between that was so well done. It was amazing. That's fun.
Dune had really good sound.
Yeah. I mean, one of the greatest did the sound, so it's
it was I loved the helicopter sounds.
Oh yes. There's also good behind the scenes of how they came to that sound. That's
he was like spinning the thing over his head like the rubber bands. Oh, so cool. And everything about that movie, like with the audio, music, and the sound effects, I really like those a lot. Probably my favorite in recent years in terms of like the sound design.
Yeah, absolutely, same. I had Mark Mangini on the show, and I asked him a bunch of questions about that because it was also like one of my favorite sound designs of.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah. And speaking about like those great projects, you've also worked on like many fun things, like the Elephant, for example, and so you're working with like, I would say like strong creative voices like Pendleton Ward, for example. Do you still get a lot of chance to experiment in those cases, in those big or like bigger productions, or is it more that you get like a very specific vision and you'll have to just match that?
The thing is I think with those types of creators who are established and very good, their vision, they're very good at describing it of what they want things to sound like.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty, they were pretty easy to work with on like the Elephant, because they just knew kind of what they wanted things to sound like. And then you kind of just go in and cut it like that. It's very easy to understand. So it doesn't seem as much like what's the word? There's like sometimes I've worked with people who they have a vision, but because they're not as good at describing it, that makes it seem like there's the feeling of the amount of room to work is different. Like it could be a bit narrow in a show like The Elephant, but it doesn't feel that narrow because the vision is well described. And if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think
no, that's absolutely right. I have that same thing. I worked on a little animation with wonderful person Molly. Shout out to her. And she was also like, she knew exactly what feeling she wanted. She could describe it really well for the two main creatures. So we really fast got to a point where it's like, oh yeah, that's the sound we're looking for. And even in the beginning where she was like, not like this because, and she could really explain the rationality behind it and the like the characteristics of the sound. And yeah, just like you said, it's really easy to work there. But then there was also places where she was like, yeah, just go wild and show me something. If I like it, I like it, and I could just experiment as well. I like when you have like both options, so to just sometimes throw something in. We're like, hey, I tried this crazy thing. Do you like that? Yeah,
Yeah, I do like those too
yeah.
a lot.
You need some playground.
Yeah, it's so nice when if something is like really wild on, especially like animation can get really crazy if they don't really have a ton of notes on what they want it to sound like, and you can kind of just go in and have like free reign. Those times are like fun. I feel like I spend more time on the free reign stuff, than I do when there are like very specific notes.
Yeah.
Because it's like a moment where I can just like explore a little bit more and see like how I like seeing how far I can go
Mm-hmm.
with stuff like that, with like how crazy can this get with like the sound and big and just the different elements of it. And like really explore all the libraries that I have and just build something out. Like, what if I put this like crazy layer from this magic library that I have on this like sound, on this like sci-fi thing, and like blend them together to make something that sounds like really unique
Mm-hmm.
and cool. And then like when they like it, that feels really good.
Yeah.
When the creators like it, when you have free reign. And there was a thing on Jesus 2, the part where the that big angel thing comes through into
Yeah.
the dimension. Where like that sequence, I took a lot of time on that because it was just like so crazy. And I was like, all right, this is so
That was wild.
weird.
Yeah.
This is so weird and abstract that like I'm gonna make this sound like really crazy. And like stuff like that is really, it makes the job a lot more fun to do. There's like a real enjoyment in that, in those parts of the work.
Absolutely. And you just mentioned like looking for a lot of sounds in the library, but I also wanted to ask, do you do a lot of recording work as well, or do you like basically just, but use like just big libraries and craft sounds out of there?
I usually just craft sounds from the libraries. I did a little. I like performed and built more like built more stuff out from scratch with like I did a Halsey NFTs. She had like an NFT collection back in like 2020
Mm.
or something, when they were like, when NFTs were like kind of the thing. And so there's like little things like that where I will, but on like an episodic like animation, I have I think I have between 250,000 and 300,000 sound effects.
That's decent. Yeah.
So I have so much to choose from that I have so much of my library memorized also
Yeah.
at this point. So when I see something on screen, I can just cut up and layer so much stuff that it sounds a lot like a new sound. So not a ton of recording, but do you record a lot of originals? I know you do Foley, but do you
Yeah.
also work with libraries?
I also work with libraries. I always like tell it like this, that I use libraries especially for things that I can't do myself, like blow things up, explosions, fireworks, and stuff like that. Stuff my wife would frown upon. But I'm personally really enjoying the creativity of recording something. So for every project, as much as I can, I record them myself, and most of the sounds I then throw away. So for me, it's like, this is the performance for this, and then it's gone. Sometimes I have a sound where it's like, oh, this could be useful, so I keep it. But most of the time, especially if you have stuff like footsteps, or you have, for example, I had something with like a chittering like insect. So I had a really like really sensitive microphone, and I basically made the moving sounds with my fingers over surfaces, and so I could really just watch it and then just perform the movement. And I was very, very, for me, it was way easier than just finding some sounds and then editing them all the little trippity traps. So I just went more with like, yeah, performing it and feeling it. So, and as I started with this stuff, I got more and more interested in it. And now I have like a microphone selection that's, yeah, almost absurd. Like I think I'm now at 30 microphones or something. I always try to sell stuff I don't use anymore. And sometimes I come across something fun new that I want to try. So I have like underwater microphones, contact mics, electrostatic microphones. I have parabolic mics for recording birds and stuff like that. And I experiment with these things as well. Like I really enjoy like just lots of experimentation. So what I can really, really recommend is just to get a contact mic. If you just get one, just get a contact mic. Even better, like a hydrophone, because you can just put it in water and freeze it and then record it while the ice is thawing and cracking, for example, which is amazing sounding. And you can do so much stuff with it. Just attach it to different things and see what resonates. And you can get so many sounds out of there where people are like, holy hell, how did you do that? Where did you find that sound? It's like, yeah, I recorded it. So yeah, that's something I can really recommend to just get into if you have the need, or if you have the interest in experimenting. And yeah, that leads me to my next question. That's a question that I always ask my guests, and it's going to be interesting for you. What is the first sound you ever recorded, and why did you record it?
The first sound, I was up visiting my brother and his family at their house, and they live like kind of far away from me. Where they live, it does get a lot colder and it snows, and they had it had snowed, and then everything froze, but then it was really warm the next day. And the way that their roof on their house was with their rain gutter, and just like how their driveway set up and everything, the water dripping like arrhythmically into the rain gutter, the way that it was echoing and hitting the metal. It sounded like really, it sounded kind of cool and like weird. So that was the first one.
Did you use it on projects?
I did use it
Nice.
on, it was a long time ago. I don't remember what show. I've used it. I used it more than once, but I don't remember what show I cut it into because it was years ago. I think it was like 2020.
Nice.
Which isn't like super, super long ago, but
yeah, still 6 years.
Yeah, I used that a couple times.
Nice.
Just because it sounded like the way that it sounded, it didn't have to be used on like, because you could like cut it up.
Of course.
Right. So
single drops.
So I didn't use it even on something that sounded wet. It was just because of the metal resonating tapping sound. That sounded really cool. But it was like at the same time such a unique sound that it can't be used on like everything.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. But it's something that only you have, so yeah.
Yeah.
Really good.
What about you?
Oh yeah. Oh, the first thing, I had this on the show as well. Someone asked me then, "Oh yeah, what about you?" So the thing I said back then was, I think when I was 8 or something, we recorded something on cassette tape. Basically recording songs from the radio and then recorded our own show and made jokes and stuff like that. So that is probably the first recording I did, if I remember correctly.
Oh, nice.
And and for my like audio career, if you would say it like that, it would be with my first Zoom. I recorded Thunderstorm outside, and it sounded so nice. And I still have that recording. I mean, it's not the best recording, but it's still something where it's like, oh, that was a nice one. It's not really wind, so you had a really clear, sound of the rain and the thunder rolling out very long. It was nice. Also used it, of course,
Nice
on a couple of projects, and I still have it. And yeah, so and now I'm passing the torch. I have a little daughter, and I took her recording as well. So I have her first recording,
Oh,
and I recorded her recording. So it's like a loop. It's like
that's
an audio
awesome.
memory. That's really cool. Yeah. So yeah,
That's
I
very
can.
sweet.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, I can really recommend like just having a handheld recorder and taking them with you because just like you said, sometimes you come across something that's like, oh, I've never heard that kind of thing before, and it could
Mhm.
be something very simple, like you just said. It's just rain going into a gutter, but it's everything is different. Like the air is different, the pressure is different, the temperature and the metal and the shape of the rain gutter could be different. And so sometimes it produces something that's like, oh, that is a really satisfying thing. I've heard a colleague of mine tell me that she was like at an airport and the sink made such a weird sound when the water was off, like a groaning sound. So she
Mhm.
stood there like for 10 minutes in the bathroom at night. It's like, oh, I have to record this before we can fly because this one is amazing. It's like, yeah,
That's funny.
yeah. If you come across something, just record it right away. Otherwise, you're going to bite yourself in the ass.
Um. Oh, okay. This is might be silly. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I do. I perform stand up comedy,
Nice.
and so if there's like a crowd laughing
Mm-hmm.
and something that I'm cutting, sometimes for one of the layers in the crowd laughing, I'll just take the audio because I record all of my sets, the audio of them. And so what I'll do is sometimes I'll because it's kind of hard sometimes to get a really good small audience
Mm-hmm.
laugh sound in my library, like to find
Yeah.
it.
I know what you
It's
mean.
like if I'm
Yeah.
having a hard time finding specific crowd laughing in my library, I'll just pull the audio from one of my sets
That's perfect, man.
and I'll
That's a
just
really
put
good
in
idea. Yeah.
the crowd laughing from a set
Yeah.
in like little clips in there. That's probably an original sound that I've used more than any other original sound that I recorded. It's just like audience sounds.
Yeah. You know, that would actually probably be a really good library. Having small crowd reactions, like even just the like murmuring and then little laughs, a lot of laughs. Because yeah, just like you said, it's really hard to get something. And there was a thing a longer while back from Tonebenders. I don't know if you're aware of Tonebenders. It's also a great
Mm-hmm.
podcast, and they did this crowdsource where they were saying like we have a lot of crowd sounds, big crowd sounds, and we have single people, but we don't have like talking of group of like 3 people, 5 people, and also in different languages. So they made this massive project, which I also took part in, where it was like you call someone you like, you record just your side of the conversation, and then a lot of people do that, and they put that all together in different language groups, in mixed language groups, in single language groups, and so you have these like conversations of 2 to 3 people that you could put somewhere in the movie in the background. And it was really really helpful to have that because yeah, searching for that you don't find that. You
Yeah.
just find
Oh, it
like
sounds
yeah,
amazing.
overall voila or yeah, so small groups. That was interesting. Yeah, that was I think it was called
Yeah.
conversational particles. It's a lot of fun. Yeah,
The small group stuff that is so hard to find in the
yeah.
library. Um,
I'll hook you up.
yeah. Let me know. Can you send that to me because I'm gonna look at that because it's that would save me a ton of time. When you're editing on the stuff that you work on, do they let you play like decipherable language in the Walla?
I hadn't have that so far because I haven't worked on a lot of linear things. Like when I work on video games, I have the voice lines, of course, from actors or from like robots or whatever we do. And on the animated stuff so far, I didn't have like discernible things. Most of the time, to be honest, if I have characters in the background, I usually do it myself, or I have this library now, so I'm gonna use it
Mhm.
that. But yeah, that's a very good question because especially for international things, you cannot have the background crowd in a specific language.
Yeah.
Most of the time, or if you have like a certain scene that is in Germany, of course, it would be preferable to have the background lounge in
Mhm.
Germany. But yeah, most of the time, what I'm hearing in shows is just non-discernible Walla, which is a bit of a shame because I like it when you have shows. Sometimes you have that where I, as a German, watch it the English show, but I hear in the background because they're in Berlin. I hear people speak German, and it's fun. I really
Yeah.
like that kind of detail. But yeah, it's a lot of work, like especially for shows or movies to make that because basically you have
There's
to
a
do it all yourself.
trick.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a trick that I learned from another editor
Yeah.
that
Sure.
he showed me is like if the walla is speaking English and you can like make out, for example, like that they're speaking English in the walla
Mhm.
in the crowd. Sometimes there are times when you can just reverse it and you
Oh,
won't notice that it's playing in reverse
because it's in the
because
background. Yeah.
if you're mixing it in with
Mhm.
other stuff, because like some reversed talking can sound really weird if it's just by itself. But
Yeah,
you
Twin
can,
Peaks. Yeah.
yeah. But if you like blend it,
Yeah,
it just sounds like walla.
you're right.
But you won't be able to make out the English or the language or whatever.
Oh, that's interesting. That might be because, that might be the case that I haven't heard any like discernible language in the background because that's probably been used a lot. Yeah, I'm gonna try to spot if I see it in some shows now because maybe sometimes you can make it out if you really concentrate on it. That would be interesting. That's cool. That's a cool trick. Thanks.
Yeah.
Really good. Yeah. Any more tips? Like while we're on the topic, before we close out this show, any more things where it's like, hey, I have this really good tip. I'm guessing nobody knows about it, so if you want to share it.
Oh, and give anyone else a leg up on me? No,
No. We're the sound community.
It's cutthroat out.
We're nice people. We share our knowledge.
It's cutthroat out here. No,
Yeah, I know.
let me think. Okay, putting animal sounds on stuff.
Of course,
I'm
yeah.
sure that's the thing, right? Like
Yeah.
that. I know the editor who did Top Gun. I heard an interview with her where like they put a like lion or something
Mhm.
on like every jet
Yeah.
sound or something like that, and like
So it sounds majestic.
one of the guys that I was working with, he would put a baboon screaming on explosions, especially if it was an explosion coming towards you and past. You put a baboon scream in there at a point, like when it's going past you, sometimes or at the beginning. But because the baboon scream is like a really intense sound that occupies a frequency range that you can layer it in and blend it really
Nice.
well, and it creates kind of like it's like a really nice element to the sound.
We're gonna have to play it here because I have no idea how a baboon screams right now. But when I hear it, I
Yeah.
probably notice it.
Yeah, it's like really quick.
Nice.
But that, yeah, like a baboon screaming is like a good thing to put on stuff. Oh, okay, here's one. I finally thought of the one. I have a sound that is from the Soundmorph Bloody Nightmare library. I
Okay.
think it's called Bloody Nightmare. It's called Terror Baby. Terror. And like you could just build this type of sound. It doesn't have to be like the specific one, but it's basically a baby crying played in slow motion.
Oh yeah.
And it's like a really long file because it's like a long recording of a baby just crying. And so it has like coming up and down like the
Yeah.
but it sounds, because it's slowed down, the pitch is lowered also. It sounds like a really disturbing version of a man wailing, like crying in like pain, like he's like tortured screaming almost. It's really it's almost like an uncomfortable sound. And so what I do is if there's something that's like meant to be really disconcerting, like a transition or something that has like a multiple layers on it,
Mm.
like really creepy and eerie sound, you just put that in there at a really low volume, and it's almost like indiscernible that it's there, but there's just something that happens like psychologically playing it back where it feels uncomfortable hearing it. Whatever the sound that is added to, if you're trying to make something really spooky or like creepy and scary sounding, just like pitch down in slow motion a baby crying, and put that on there and cut it because it has a natural the crying has a natural rise and fall, almost like a whoosh. It has a natural rise and fall, and so you can just like cut it and tailor it perfect to be just sit in the sound that you're putting it in, and it creates a really nice psychological thing to it.
That is so funny that you say that, because I actually used the crying of my baby daughter, Slow Down, for a project. Because
oh really?
Yeah, I also I had a recording of it because at some point she was just crying so much. It was like, okay, I can comfort her on my arm and also point a microphone at her. That's fine. And I had the sound and I was like, yeah, let's try to experiment a bit. And I slowed it down and I was like, oh, that is uncomfortable. So yeah, I have my own slowed down baby sound in the library. We're gonna play it here. Yeah.
I wasn't so unique with that advice.
No, you were. I haven't heard it before as well, and it's interesting to hear that it is in the library as well. It's like I just remembered it. Also, I didn't think about it for forever now. My daughter's now 6, so it's been a while. But yeah, I also did that, and that is a good tip. Really cool. I don't want to keep you up too late. So the only other thing is, if you have any shout outs to upcoming projects, anything you want to say, the floor is yours for the end of this episode.
I actually don't have any. I don't have any shows lined up right now, so I don't have any like sound editing projects to shout out at the moment. I guess I'll shout out Jesus 2 because it's not. I don't think it has a wide release yet.
No, yeah.
They did like a little short thing where you could go onto the website and watch it as like a promo.
Yeah.
Because they submitted to try to get nominated for an Oscar or Academy Award. So I guess I'd shout out that one and also The Elephant.
That's a good one, yeah.
2 good recent projects, and yeah, the other most recent one was like the Halsey tour. So like I guess I shout out that.
Yeah, that's.
But I don't have any. I don't have any up and coming on the docket at the moment. They kind of will just come sometimes. Like people contact me or have me go on to something. But yeah, that's.
So yeah,
that's the deal.
Yeah. All right, thank you again for being on the show.
Of course, anytime. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Looking for more audio-related podcasts to listen to? We're part of the Audio Podcast Alliance, featuring a hand-picked selection of the very best podcasts about sound. Be sure to hear the latest episodes from our friends in the community at audiopodcast.org. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please consider supporting on patreon.com/fieldandfoley or ko-fi.com/fieldandfoley, where you gain early access to episodes in lossless format and can submit questions for our guests. Thank you for listening.